Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to Food for Thought, the NUSE seminar on climate change for undergraduate students in Singapore. We are representatives from the Singapore Green Dot Movement. I'm Lynn, and these are my team members, June and Renee. Our goal today will be to address the negative environmental impacts of the global meat industry. Through our presentation, we hope to be able to convince all of you to reduce your consumption of meat and to make the switch to some innovative new plant-based alternatives. To start off, I'd like everyone to take a look at this headline from a few days ago. It predicts a spell of hot weather in the first 2 weeks of April 2020, and that temperatures on some days may even go as high as 35 degrees Celsius. But you think that's bad? According to scientists from the Center of Climate Research Singapore, those could be our daily temperatures by the year 2100 if current global warming trends continue. But you might be wondering, what are these heat waves? Why should we care about global warming? We can just turn on the aircon more. Singapore is always so hot anyway. Well, it matters because Singapore is a low-lying island on the equator. That makes Singapore extremely vulnerable to the danger of rising sea levels caused by melting ice sheets at the two poles. As global temperatures continue to rise, the huge ice caps in Greenland and Antarctica are melting at a worrying rate, and Singapore's location, smack in the middle of the two poles, means that we will experience a double whammy of sea level rise. Does anyone here live in Bishan, Katong, or Toa Payoh? What if I told you that by 2100, even those inland areas might be uninhabitable due to serious flooding? These are just some of the effects that global climate change will have in Singapore. But what's really causing global climate change? One of the biggest contributors to climate change is in fact the global meat industry. According to reports by the United Nations, the global livestock industry contributes a third of all human-produced greenhouse gas emissions, which is more than all cars, planes, trains, and ships combined. These greenhouse gases, such as methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide, are responsible for trapping heat from sunlight in the Earth's atmosphere, like the glass walls of a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the warmer the Earth becomes. The global demand for meat is also driving deforestation and the loss of wildlife habitats in order to create land for animal rearing. Worryingly, global meat consumption levels will only get higher. As the size of the global middle class continues to increase, experts predict that meat consumption will rise by 75% by the year 2050. So, now that we know more about the negative effects that eating meat has on climate change, how do we go about reducing meat consumption? Renee will tell us more.
Thank you, Lynn. Before we start talking about the solutions for fighting climate change, let us watch a short informative video on how changing our diets can help save the environment.
A lot of people feel really helpless when it comes to climate change, like they can't make a difference. And what our research is showing is that your personal decisions really can have a big impact.
So take that grass-fed ribeye steak I love. If you really look at everything that went into making a single serving of beef, you end up emitting around 330 grams of carbon. That's like driving a car 3 miles. Now, if I choose to have chicken instead, there's more than a 5-fold drop in emissions. Switch to fish, and you see the number go down even more. Now, look at veggies. If I swapped beef out entirely for lentils, well, I'm down to practically nothing. So why does beef, and lamb too for that matter, pack such a powerful punch to the planet? Livestock accounts for a little over 14% of global greenhouse gas emissions. If that sort of seems low to you, consider it's about equal to transportation. We're talking all the cars, trucks, planes, trains, and ships on the planet combined.
Hello, everyone. I'm Renee, and I'll be continuing this section of the presentation with possible solutions to fight climate change with our diets. So there are 3 solutions that my group has come up with, mainly eating less meat, switching to carbon-light food, and trying out plant-based alternatives. I will be elaborating more on the first 2 solutions, while June will be talking more about the last solution. Now, let us move on to the first solution, eating less meat. So research states that a third of our total greenhouse gas emissions come from livestock, as seen in the picture in the right. Pork itself contributes 28% of food-related greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, eating less meat will allow us to significantly reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emitted to our environment. What's worse is that Singapore imports more than 90% of our food via air transportation, and that is a lot. Powering the planes to transport our food uses natural resources like kerosene and gasoline, thus producing even more greenhouse gas and further contributing to climate change. Research has shown that if every Singaporean stopped eating meat for a day every week, each person can save up to 3.5 animals a year. If you multiply that to the population of Singapore, we would save about 19 million animals a year. So, by coming together as a collective group to eat less meat to fight climate change, it is possible to make a big difference in the amount of greenhouse gas emissions. So, the next solution is switching from carbon heavy to carbon light food. So, you may ask, what is carbon light food? Well, it is food with low carbon footprint, which produces less greenhouse gas as compared to heavy carbon food. As seen from the graph in the slides, we can see that beef produces much more carbon dioxide per serving as compared to poultry. This is because bigger animals require more food and land to rear as compared to smaller animals. Thus, this contributes more carbon dioxide and methane to the environment. And did you know that just by choosing to eat chicken rather than beef will allow us to reduce our dietary carbon footprint by half? So this solution allows people who require meat in their diets to do their part in fighting climate change. So for those who insist on including meat into their diet, this will be the solution for you. Fighting climate change is not something that can be done in a day or two. As the saying goes, a little of something goes a long way. So it is essential that we change our diets, even a little bit, to contribute to this cause. Now, I will pass the time on to June, who will be talking about our last solution and concluding our presentation.
Hi everyone, I'm June and I'll be sharing the last solution that we are proposing to help fight climate change. Similarly, in a bid to reduce our demand for meat, which takes quite a heavy toll on the environment, you can opt for plant-based alternatives that will substitute your daily intake of meat. Well, in Singapore, our concept of plant-based alternatives is based on mainly vegetarian mock meat, which is made of wheat and soy, and that mostly mimics the look of meat. Well, but in recent years, scientists have been researching on and succeeded in making these new meatless products that I believe will change your mind. What makes these newly innovated products beyond meat and impossible meat so appealing as plant-based substitutes? Well, the key is to replicate the taste of meat. Researchers have found that heme, a component of iron found in the animal blood and tissue, is the answer to making meat taste like meat. And to replicate that, researchers have found a method to extract plant-based heme, known as soy hemoglobin, from the root of a soy plant. Hence, scientific research and advancement has allowed us to create plant-based substitutes for meat that can taste and even bleed like meat. And as an increasing food trend in the West, these newly innovated plant-based alternatives have been a hit with food critics, and some even commenting that it tastes better than meat. Blind tests has shown similarly relatively positive results. And for your information, these newly innovated meatless products are now already on the shelves of supermarkets. It's not some form of luxury good that is only exclusive to those who can afford it. I recently been to the Heartland Sheng Siong outlet for grocery shopping and found this in the freezer alongside other food products. Besides, these meatless products are increasingly featured and incorporated into menus of many local F&B establishments. Meatless burger and pizza may sound mainstream, but what about meatless satay and meatless nasi lemak? Meatless products are increasingly incorporated into our local delights without compromising their taste. You should definitely go and try one of these meatless food options made available to you, and I'm sure they will blow your mind. And it's key that these new plant-based substitutes can become reliable and appealing substitute for meat, as they will significantly reduce our carbon output from maintaining our appetite for meat. Research has shown that the carbon cost for producing plant-based meat is found to be 89 to 90% lower than producing meat from livestock. That's a significant value by which, multiplied by a large number of consumers, will make a huge difference to climate change. This is real tangible change we can make by just making the switch. So in conclusion, how we eat dictates our carbon footprint. Hence, it's key that we reduce our meat intake in our daily meals in a bid to reduce carbon footprint and combat climate change. Lynn, Renee, and I have proposed 3 different solutions you can take in our daily lives by essentially eating less meat, switching to carbon-light food, and opting for plant-based alternatives. And I would like to emphasize that our actions will have a tangible and long-lasting impact on our planet, particularly when we do it together. Given Singapore's vulnerability when it comes to climate change, I implore every single one of you to make those changes to your diet. I believe our homes can be protected as long as we make the conscious effort to ensure environmental sustainability. And as youths of the future or the present, the future of our planet lies in our hands. Thank you so much for your attention.